Hi, I'm Cheryl Koenig. I'm an author of 5 books and a motivational speaker. This is my beautiful son, Jonathan. He's the subject of my 3rd book, Paper Cranes. He got hit by a car when he was 12 years old. He's now 35, and my husband and I are his primary carers. Jonathan's had a remarkable recovery. His is an amazing story of survival against all odds, and that's why I wrote about it, to help other people never give up. And he can do things like work and drive and play piano, and this is after being told that we should switch off life support, and if it did miraculously pull through, he was going to remain in a vegetative state. Well, we weren't going to have that, were we? Stubborn, you say? My bloody oath. And here he is today, my beautiful son. Now, this is 2020, and we're facing another challenging time. The whole world is. And I've decided, just like a lot of other parents, to do things to keep Jonathan occupied, because he loves all his jobs. And yesterday he helped me bake bread, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes. So he works every day in these 5 part-time jobs. But the one thing that he hasn't been able to do, which absolutely breaks my heart, he's come so far, but there's one thing he struggles with, and that's reading a book, especially a thick book. And yesterday I said to him, we're going to have story time, and we're going to start with a very, very important book. It's called With Just One Suitcase, and it's by a really good author, Cheryl Koenig, her name is. OAM, Order of the Medal of Australia, for services to people with disability, their carers and families. She's also New South Wales Woman of the Year. But they mean nothing in the scale of things. Just I'm an ordinary mother and wife, and you might find it hard to believe I'm also a grandmother. But yes, I was a child bride. So I'm going to be reading With Just One Suitcase. I find it a very timely book to read, and I started with him last night. And we're having story time now every night, like we used to when he was a little boy. And I wanted to share this with people to inspire them. Now, this is an important book, I think, for these times, because it's a book of survival. It's an historical memoir about my father and father-in-law and how they survived the horrors of World War II. It even goes back to earlier than that, their fathers who survived the horrors of World War One. Our generation has never come across what we're facing today. This is the biggest challenge of our time, globally. And I think if we put it into perspective, we have to imagine what our grandparents and successive generations have survived. And, we're not being asked to pick up a gun at present. All we're being asked to do is stay at home, to keep distance, to keep good hygiene, and stay at home. So make the most of your home time, make the most of your family time, and I hope you enjoy chapter 1 from Just One Suitcase. Katerina, Timișoara, Romania, 1938. The day has become ripe, and the smoky aroma of fresh salami, salted pork, and other cured meats wafts in the breeze to the hum of battering voices and shuffling feet. The market is open for business this Saturday, just as it is every Saturday and Sunday. It is a carnival of stalls located in the suburb of Kishida, south of the old Baroque palace in the centre of Timișoara. You might sell all sorts of things here, but principally what can be eaten. That's the aroma that spices the air, what you might eat. Not only cured meats of a dozen sorts, but also fresh meat, including the local favourite, pakal, known in the English-speaking world as tripe. This is not the English-speaking world, of course. This is Western Romania, whose second largest city, Timișoara, sits squarely on the broad Oltenian plain, that stretches farther west almost as far as Hungary and present-day Serbia. A long way to the east, across the Transylvanian Alps, lies the capital, Bucharest, and eventually the Black Sea. For centuries, the country has been likely to argue with its neighbours, to be invaded by them, sometimes to extract revenge by marching an army in one direction or another with bloody intent. It's a fraught location for a country in a notoriously unruly region of Europe, large parts of which were once dominated by the acquisitive Ottomans. The culture of Romania at this time is a living festival of influences, including those of the Orient, Russia, Western and Eastern Europe, stretching all the way back to classical Greece. On this day in 1938, Katerina Koenig is busily selling the fare of her particular stall, which is to say living chickens, living geese and fresh vegetables from her kitchen garden. Busily is perhaps going too far. Katerina is standing with her arms folded, the cuffs of her brown grey smock rolled back from her wrists, silently urging customers to pay her some attention. Although eager for sales, she still nods and greets the gaze of all those who pass by through hazel eyes that hold the wisdom of a woman with 4 decades behind her. Short of stature, Katerina is a picture of heartiness, her weathered face punctuated with a round button nose under a high forehead, in keeping with her robust Slavic lineage. Dressed for function rather than form, she keeps her attire uncomplicated. Today, being warm, she has donned a loose-fitting gypsy-style blouse over a button-down ankle-length skirt, which is purposely dark so as not to show the dirt that catches around the hem. She is in the company of her youngest child, a boy of 10, with unruly thick waves of brown hair and alert expression. His name is Istvan. Who's Istvan, Jonathan? Granddad. It is Istvan's task to get a good grip on the necks of the chickens and geese when a sale comes along, bind the legs and pass the birds over to the customer. There is a lack of pretension in Katerina's manner as she picks up her broom and sweeps briskly at the feathers scattered by the lively protestations of her caged poultry. She pauses, tucking the broom under her substantial upper arm to regather strands of mousy brown hair that have worked their way loose from her rolled chignon and secured them out of toil's way. As she does this, she looks on to her son, who is watching inquisitively. Vanity is for people with no mission and too much time on their hands, my boy. I think this hair of mine would serve me better chopped short. No, Mamma, don't. I like your hair the way it is. Papa does too. Katerina's husband, Nicholas, is a mechanical engineer of Austrian extraction who runs a flour mill in the rural outpost of Timișoara. Katerina's chickens supplement a household income that could, even without her contribution, keep her family in passable comfort or in something like luxury compared with the vast majority of Romanians. For this is a country which, in broad regions, has yet to fully emerge from the feudalism of the Middle Ages. Katerina's customers are drawn from every level of Timișoara society. People of her own class, those a little less comfortable, the nervous middle class, Stalin and his collective political philosophy is just over there beyond the borders, the well-to-do and even the occasional aristocrat, or at least the aristocrat servants. And it will be one of Timișoara's well-to-do who will be her next customer this morning, as a carriage is drawn by a beautiful horse with a groomed mane and has just arrived and taken place in a row of carriages outside the market. The fact that such carriages are still in use at a time when motor vehicles are crowding the streets of more sophisticated metropolises testifies to this tardy pace of development in Romania, but also captures its charm. The woman who opens the door of the carriage and steps down reveals a charm of her own. She is dressed stylishly in a charcoal grey skirt and matching short-waisted jacket with black velvet lapels, white gloves, her jet black hair attractively arranged beneath a cloche hat. She extends her gloved hand to help her son, aged around 7, down from the carriage. Dressed as impressively as his mother, he sports a spotless white shirt, royal blue bow tie, navy braces, short grey trousers, and highly polished black shoes. The boy doesn't appear quite as comfortable as his mother, a little as if he has been dressed for display. But the impression on anyone watching, Katerina for example, is of quality. Quality, yes, that's the word, Katerina sighs, wondering how many chickens she would need to sell before she could afford a jacket and skirt from the same tailor as Mrs. Lerv. For she knows the woman's name and has sold poultry to her in the past. She knows too that a charcoal suit with black velvet lapels made to order for her figure would not give her the queenly appearance of Mrs. Lerv. Who's Mrs. Lerv?
Yeah.
Pa's mother.
Pa's mother.
My grandmother.
Yeah.
Clothes might maketh the man, but it needs something more to make the woman. Breeding and the confidence that produces, and above all that, a certain gracefulness that no currency can procure, a knowledge that 100 eyes are admiring you without surrendering to conceit. Katerina's supplementary wish is that her boys, her Istvan especially, could go a full day as free of the blemishes of mud and soot as Mrs. Lerv's prince of a child. Oh, she is proud of her boys, loves them madly, but wouldn't it be wonderful to dress Istvan for once in a white shirt that remained white for longer than 10 minutes, in shoes that looked shiny black for longer than 30 seconds? As if to demonstrate what we wish for might well be granted us with a few undecided entailments, Mrs. Lerv's son suddenly balks at being led towards the squawking chickens at Katerina's stall. Fritzi, what is it? Who's Fritzi?
Pa.
That's right, Pa. What's wrong with you? The boy has an expression of mingled horror and disgust on his small face. Anu, Mama, he wails. Not the chickens, no. Fritzi, I must buy chickens. Be sensible now. Mrs. Lerv takes a firmer grip on her son's hand and urges him closer to the stall, to the menacing chickens. I'll just skip now to the last bit of this first chapter. And Istvan is heading off somewhere into the storm. Katerina thinks of her 4 other sons and her other daughter, Hermina, and this is occupying her thoughts. And she manages a moment of reverie alone at a stall, a short-waisted jacket with black velvet lapels hangs in her wardrobe. A servant brings her tea when she rings a small silver bell. Her children line up inexpensively tailored outfits to smile at her and accept each of them a kiss on a well-scrubbed cheek. What Katerina doesn't know, how could she, is that one day her bloodline will blend with that of the stunning woman whose wardrobe and elegance she covets. None of these composite children will live in Timișoara, not even Romania, but each of them will carry in their genetic makeup a certain amount of the poetry of Katerina and Anna, a certain amount of the poetry of Austria, of Hungary, and of this fertile land of mountains and plains in which geese grow fat. Thank you, and I hope you might take up the rest of the reading of the book with just one suitcase. It's available at my website, www.cherylkoenig.com.au. Thanks, John.